Yep, I know what you're thinking. This stuff right here, it's the stuff that you scrape off the side of your fish tank. Algae. Nothing but a nuisance. But wait, not so fast. Algae happens to be the first thing that crawled out of the primordial ooze. It's the basis for our entire food chain. Now, a couple of whip-smart fellas have found another use for algae. They're turning this into this. That's oil, baby. Texas tea.
Algae are the original oil producers. They were producing oil billions of years ago.
Jonathan Wolfson and Harrison Dillon are not the first to figure out how to turn algae into oil, but they are the first to invent a process that might produce it in big enough quantities to change the gas game.
At our maximum production, we could be making more than tens of billions of gallons.
They also claim that they can design any oil to create jet fuel, cosmetics, even food, all from this bad boy.
We've developed a way to actually design oil. No one's ever been able to do that before.
Time to put these claims to the test. I'm loitering at a gas station in Palo Alto, California, chatting with drivers about the stuff they put in their tanks. Where do you think that gas comes from?
I don't know. Refineries?
Probably Venezuela.
Well, where do you think the Venezuelans get it?
Out of the ground.
What about those new sources of gas?
Like ethanol?
Yeah, ethanol. Would you put any of that in your truck?
I would if it could run off of it.
But if there was a biodiesel I could convert my engine to reasonably, I would do it.
What if I told you you could get it from algae?
That would be acceptable as well.
You'd be fine with algae.
Sure.
It's Harrison and Jonathan's goal to get algae fuel into your tank. I visited them at the company they founded, Solazyme.
Oil's the basis for a lot of our society.
Petroleum is plant material, particularly ancient algae, that's been essentially fossilized over millions of years.
Algae are producing oil on this planet literally billions of years ago, taking sunlight and carbon dioxide and converting them into the first oils. We figured out a way to take that process and condense it down into a few days using biotechnology.
You have turned millions of years into 2 days?
That's
This is alchemy.
Algae naturally creates oils as protective shields for themselves, usually to prevent against drying out. In a word, what these guys are doing is supersizing the algae to get the most out of this process and doing it in the shortest amount of time possible. So, who are these guys? Well, they met as freshmen, and as they were busy piling MBAs and PhDs on the ends of their names, the pair constantly talked about starting a game-changing company together.
In the mid-90s, when I was doing my PhD, I started thinking about how you could use genetics for renewable energy, and I stumbled across algae in the scientific literature as something that makes oil. I called Jonathan, and we spent almost a decade talking back and forth about how we would start a company to use algae to make energy.
So, in 2003, Jonathan packed up a car he bought for $600 and traveled across the country, and the two set up in Harrison's garage in Palo Alto. Their first step at the algae to oil business was a big bust. Like others in the algae to oil business, Jonathan and Harrison started off growing the stuff in ponds, allowing it to take in sunlight and carbon dioxide and convert those into a workable crude. But the process was too costly. It pumped out oil, but at $1,000 a gallon.
So you knew that this was not a good business model.
It was a big wake-up call for us.
10 years of hard work was about to sink into an algae-covered swamp until they realized everyone had been blinded by the sun. If you remove sunlight, algae can still live. In fact, they can thrive without the sun. They're among the few living organisms on this planet that can do that. Jonathan and Harrison bet their entire company that they could make cheap oil by moving the entire process into the dark.
What we do is feed sugars directly to the algae in the dark that get converted into oil, and that dramatically speeds up the process and also reduces dramatically the cost of making the oil.
I thought it needed the sun.
The algae need energy.
Yeah.
And that can come in the form of sun. It can also come in the form of sugar. So if you're giving the algae sugar, they don't need any direct sunlight.
It's still photosynthesis, it's just indirect photosynthesis.
And so this was your eureka moment?
Yes.
But the question was, would their investors share their inspiration?
So how easy is that to go back and say, hey, you know that idea we had? Turns out it's not really going to work, but we've got this other great idea.
We were very scared.
Yeah.
And we were asking our investors to basically change what they were betting on.
Fortunately, the money men kept faith, and now things are looking up.
You guys have an opportunity to reduce America's dependence on traditional petroleum.
At our maximum production, we could be making more than tens of billions of gallons of oil through this technology.
But they can't use ordinary refined sugar because the cost would be astronomical. Instead, they've had to find cheap raw materials that already contain sugar.
Sugar cane, grass clippings, say from a golf course, agricultural wastes, wood chips, any type of plant material. We feed it to the algae, and the algae very efficiently convert it directly into this crude oil.
The common ingredient here? Cellulose. They're linked sugar molecules that are primary components of plant cell walls and the most common organic compound on the planet. In other words, cheap.
We do really two things. We optimize algae to convert sugars into oils, but we optimize the algae to use many different kinds of plant-based sugar and to convert into many different kinds of oil, from a nutritional oil to a perfect diesel oil or a perfect jet fuel oil.
What we've developed here is a way to actually design oil. No one's ever been able to do that before. So we have a huge opportunity to change the world.
So, how exactly does this process work? First, they start by searching the world and cataloging millions of strains of algae that have slightly different properties. They then select the algae that show the best ability to create the oil they want to make. Next, the strain is enhanced using biotechnology, maximizing its ability to quickly produce the selected oil.
You can adjust the process slightly to create different results, right?
Precisely what type of oil algae produces also depends precisely on what they're fed. As much science goes into determining food stocks as any other part of the procedure. You could call it the inventor's secret sauce.
Many, many different kinds of plant sugars can be used to produce the oils.
And according to Jonathan, when endless varieties of plant sugars meet endless strains of algae, accidents happen. Beautiful accidents. Like when he and Harrison were working on a biodiesel fuel that thrived in cold temperatures.
Then we kind of stepped back and we looked at the oil profile of what we had just made, and we realized we had made a very unsaturated, heart-healthy oil with a composition almost identical to olive oil. And that kind of opened the door to moving into nutrition.
From the gas tank to the frying pan, just like that. Who'd have thunk it?
So this is where the fermentation happens, huh?
Yeah, that's why we call it bench scale. But the bench scale fermenters mimic the performance at very large scale.
Jonathan and Harrison knew the key to their success was keeping the algae in the dark. See, the process of photosynthesis uses energy, which takes away from the production of oil. Fermentation tanks provide the perfect environment, free of light and photosynthesis.
You don't have this wrapped up so I can't see it, do you?
No. We have it wrapped up so it's happening in the dark.
With no light to distract them, the algae are happy to sit on their butts all day, get hugely fat on all those nutrients, and produce oil. Lots and lots of oil.
Very clever. All the best things happen in the dark.
Lots of good things happen in the dark.
A great idea, but will regular folks eat it?
It tastes decadent.
Rub it on?
The product that is going to keep my skin baby soft forever.
Or put it in their gas tank?
We're moving on algae.